Hey, what's up, everyone? You're currently tuned into TBD on KCSB FM 91.9 in Santa Barbara and KCSB.org to the rest of the world. Today, Lietoc and I are joined by Eamon Hamill, the proprietor of Strategic Tape Reserve, as well as DJ VOLK'S personal handler. Eamon, you're joining us from St. Peribes in Spain. How you doing,
Yes.
dude?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. Thanks again for having me on. I'm happy to be here.
How's EU voting going lately?
We heard
Oof, I
election.
don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a big day. There's supposed to be lots of elections. I should be getting like a thing to vote. I didn't get it. So yeah, I sort of
Oh my.
missed my opportunity to vote, which
It's
is
all good, dude. It
not
happens.
good.
Oh no.
Well, I mean, I think I'd be voting in Spain, and I think Spain is like compared to other countries in the EU at the moment, relatively better politically,
Yeah.
in many ways, not in every way, but so there's that. But yeah, always better to vote. But there's a lot of bureaucracy, and in the move, things did not all of the paperwork. I moved like a year and a half ago, and
Mm.
it's some things possibly got overlooked.
So, I mean, how are you enjoying St. Peribes? You're saying it's more of like a rural area in Spain. Like, how are you enjoying that?
Yeah, like honestly, it's a big change for me. I've never lived in a place that's like not a city before.
Hmm.
I've always lived like in the center, not always a big city, but always in like an urban kind of environment. And this is very different. And in some ways that's taken a little getting used to. Like can't walk out and just like have like culture on your doorstep or
Yeah.
food
Hmm.
on your doorstep
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or like that there's like a smaller pool of people around, of course.
Hmm.
But in other ways it's really nice. It's like really beautiful landscape. The sea is not super far away, which is really cool.
Sick. Yeah.
um yeah, and like it's quieter here where we lived in Cologne. Like we lived like really in the center of Cologne, and like yeah, recording anything would be like, punctuated with lots of
Yes.
like drunk people shouting outside or like garbage trucks and like always lots of so it's just different. It's for
Yeah.
me.
How do you like it more than Cologne, or is it just like, yeah, you're just like, different places can't really compare them too much.
Yeah, no, I would say like for this point in my life, this is better in
Sick.
a lot of ways, not in every way, but I've got a couple of young kids and they can like
Yeah.
run around outside, and like
Yeah.
in the center of Cologne, they kind of did, but it was
Mhm.
there was less space, and it was
Yeah.
yeah,
You
yeah,
really, you really
more
have to
crowd.
like plan that time. It's like, hey, we're gonna go to the park, and then you got to get through some
Yeah,
streets and things.
more
Now
like that kind of thing.
they can go literally. I'm assuming just run outside in a backyard or
Yeah.
Yeah. I
so.
mean, we have like a terrace kind of
Yeah.
thing, and there's
Hmm.
there's outdoor space, which there wasn't
Yeah.
previously. So that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, and the whole lifestyle is just like everything is so much more relaxed here, and that's really
Yeah.
nice.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Is there a big scene of just kind of rural DJs that just like to vibe and just hang out in their terraces and just kind of
Um,
what is it at least musically out there for you? Have you connected with other people or other happenings?
a little bit, but it's all in Barcelona.
Oh,
Everything is in Barcelona.
yeah.
There's a lot
Hmm.
happening in Barcelona, obviously, and a lot of really interesting, cool stuff. It's not right on my doorstep, but it's not that hard to get into Barcelona.
Yeah.
In like the town here, yeah, there's not loads going on. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what? There was last summer, there's a music festival in the
Mm,
park, and it's like mostly like a lot of like Catalan rock bands or like
Hmm.
cover bands, and that's cool. That's cool. And then like they had two headline acts who were like bigger than acts they've ever had before. They somehow got both Tom Jones, which was incredible because I could hear
Yeah.
him from like outside
oh,
of my house singing.
That's sick.
And I don't know how it happened, but Kraftwerk played there.
oh my goodness.
Um,
Wow. That's sick.
nuts. Yeah. So that was really weird.
I am
To have that here.
I'm in tears now because I am well not I'm not really in tears, but Kraftwerk did their giant. They've come around to California or America once more, and I don't know at this point if I don't think there's any plan to stop. I don't think Ralph does, but they did a giant tour in LA and they played the main catalog from Autobahn to
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and a majority of those shows I was at in Texas for a wedding, and I really wanted to see what
Damn.
I wanted to see the Computer World show or Electric Cafe. I really
Right. Right.
be like, okay, how does this work? Because I've heard the mix and I've sampled Min Maximum and those are great, but
Mhm.
I want to know where it stands in 2024, and so had to miss it. I could have gone to Autobahn, and I maybe should have because there's some stuff there I would just love to hear, and that's really the only time they'll touch early work.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's too bad.
That's an incredible grab though. The 10.
Yeah. Yeah. That was it didn't really make sense, but that kind of made it better.
Yeah, for
Just
sure.
that they were in this like random place. And like playing like with Tom Jones is like the other big name.
Yeah. It's super random, but like
Yeah.
you're like,
But
I
that's
guess
how
my
it should
town has
be.
good taste.
Yeah. I don't know
Next
who
year they're
is
gonna
there.
get Black Pumas. I imagine next year this
Yeah.
festival, it'll have
Yeah.
Black Pumas or oh god, what is it? It's Planting Kraus. You'll get Allison.
Okay. You're right. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess before we hop off of, I guess what we were talking about was Spain. I just wanted to ask, like, I don't, do you have like a favorite food in Spain?
There's a lot of good food. Yeah, there's a lot of good food.
They know how to make seafood.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say, like, you
yeah.
enjoying like some Spanish
Oh
seafood, like
man. Honestly, that's what I did today was I made like a seafood soup. And
so
it's sort of
dope.
like it's bubbling on the stove.
Sick.
Yeah, there's like a lot. That's something that's like really good about this area. There's like lots of little markets and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, the food is good. Yeah, I love seafood. I guess if I had to say a favorite, it would be like cuttlefish, like sepia a la plancha, which is
Mm.
cuttlefish just
Mhm.
like cooked really simply with like olive oil and garlic on like a plate, like a griddle, I guess, or something
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
that. And it's super simple, but when it's fresh, it's just yeah, delicious.
Awesome.
But I mean, the vegetables are really good. It's just like a really like nice food place to be.
Cool,
Um,
dude.
yeah. So
So I guess how was your time in like what in like Cologne? What brought you to like Cologne before you moved to Spain?
yeah, I guess I don't really know what brought me to Cologne exactly. So yeah, I guess I moved from the US about 20 years ago and I lived in a
Hmm.
few different places. I lived in Barcelona before, I lived in Prague, I lived in the UK for a few years. And it was when we were in Prague, my wife and I, before we had kids,
Hmm.
I think we were just like, I don't know, looking for so I guess yeah, we'd been to Germany a few times. We'd visited Berlin and had a good time, and we'd been to Dresden and had a good time.
Hmm.
And I had a good friend, or I still have a good friend who I grew up with in Hoboken, who lives in Hanover. And
Mm.
yeah, so I don't know. And I guess yeah, my wife got a job in Cologne. She's a teacher. Uh, and I guess that sort, and I guess we went there and visited and thought like this seems nice and moved there. And we used to like back then we used to like move quite regularly and it was fun
Yeah.
to do that. And we just sort of moved that one time and then ended up in Cologne for about 12 years, which was
Oh wow.
a long time to live in a
Hmm.
place that you just sort of go to kind of on a whim.
Hmm.
That, that's why I never realized that you had just been moving around in the
Hmm.
2000s with kind of that frequency of just going to different places, really specifically around the EU at that time. And
Yeah.
how did you kind of fall into then just being able to do that? And then I guess um again, do you feel like a global citizen now as a result?
uh yeah, I mean I don't know. It's been a few years now. It's been like probably 5 years since been back to the US because it was like COVID.
Yeah.
And yeah, and my mom doesn't live there anymore.
Hmm.
So like yeah, there's not so much family there, so there's not as much reason to go back.
Yeah.
And when I went back, like, you know, when you're away from someplace 20 years, I mean, maybe, I don't know, it changes, the place changes and you change. And like, it like didn't really feel like home for like a long time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I would say like global citizen, but like, I don't feel especially like rooted in any one given place.
That's cool.
And how did it come about, the moving around? I guess, yeah, early 2000s. Yeah, sort of like everything in life was kind of like just like up in the air. I didn't really know like what to do. I wasn't like super qualified to do that much.
Mhm.
And
So a teacher,
yeah,
yes, or you're also a teacher that does English as second language work.
well, yeah. So yeah, there was like, I don't know, somehow someone like pointed out this opportunity that like you could do this like training then to become like to get a qualification as an English teacher. And there was a school in Barcelona that said like, yeah, if you do this training, then we'll get you a job. And so I did that. And then they didn't give me a job. They said like, no, you can't get a job in Barcelona. Like you need
Wow. Yeah.
experience for that. Like if you want a
Damn.
job, you need to go somewhere like east.
Okay.
So yeah, so I had a friend who was in Prague at that point, like studying, doing like a semester abroad kind of thing. So I stayed with him for a while and then eventually got a job teaching English and then sort of, yeah, moved around a bit doing that. And when I was in the UK, I like did something else for a while. And nowadays I do some teaching. I do other like whatever I can do, freelance stuff from home, from here.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And at least with the job that you had that are in Cologne doing that, was there, well, I'm just curious what English as a second language, what that means as a teacher for you, how working with students changed over the course of a decade. Were there trends or things that you noticed?
I mean, there was just very sort of different jobs within that. When I was living in Barcelona, I was teaching like kids, and that was a lot of fun, and also totally exhausting.
Yeah.
But like a lot of, just because I mean they had so much energy and like it was really a lot of fun. It was really stimulating. Yeah, and yeah, they were funny kids and like, you know, in Germany, I was mostly teaching like business people in business companies, and it was like much more like it was
Oh,
like more serious, but it was
Yeah.
also really funny, at least for me sometimes.
Yeah.
Just because like and like, you know, in that environment, you have to sort of like go in and learn all this other English that you don't know because there's all this jargon specific
Oh yeah.
to whatever weird thing they're doing. And then it comes up and I'm not sure, like, are you using the wrong word or is this simply a word that I don't know? And
Yeah.
and it's interesting sometimes. And then yeah, and then in Germany, then like later I got involved with this college. It was like a college for sustainable design, and like the students there were just so like I learned like a lot from them about design and art, and they
Yeah.
like were like schooling me to all kinds of stuff that was really cool that I hadn't
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
come across. So that was really good. I got a lot out of that.
dang.
So did you like incorporate any of like the design stuff you like learned for like, I don't know, your tapes and whatnot?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think like maybe not so much anymore, but for a certain period of time at Strategic Tape Reserve, there was like a lot of very like officious bureaucratic kind of language. And I think a lot of that came from like the business classes, just sort
Oh
of
yeah.
like incorporating for that. And yeah, I'm sure like from like the design college, like, I mean, like, yeah, sure. I'm sure plenty of ideas were sort of sparked by that.
Awesome,
Not
dude.
sure if I can think of any specific examples, but
Yeah, no, you're good.
We'll have
without
to
a doubt.
we'll pull up a few tweets later for
Yeah.
certain.
Okay. References, yeah.
Yeah.
But wanted just to keep, because I guess we just keep going further back. It's like, well, we've talked about Spain, we've talked about Cologne. So now though, I do at least want to get a sense for you, Hoboken, specifically that late 90s, early 2000s, big Sopranos moment, big 9/11 moment. But
Yeah.
for you, at least music wise, what were your origins? And in especially within the moves that you took across the 2000s and 2010s, were there significant changes that you also kind of just clocked or noted yourself musically moving with?
Well, I mean, in Hoboken, I guess growing up, like I was mostly into like hip hop, I guess.
Hmm.
When I was like a young teenager. But then, I mean, WFMU is
Okay,
basically in
yeah.
Oh, hell
Hoboken or
yeah.
like right on the border.
Mhm.
And like having that like really, really opened
Mhm.
up a world of sound. Yeah, so I used to listen to a lot of WFMU, and
Mhm.
I think that probably had a huge
Wow.
influence
Okay.
on yeah, on my musical taste and my understanding of music. And
Yeah.
yeah, just I think what's like stayed with me from that is just like the variety and like the juxtaposition, like the whole, I guess, freeform
Mhm.
concept, but also just that they would play like good music and bad music right next to each other with
Yeah.
no like
Only do
judgment.
that. Yeah, that's
Yeah, 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 and that's
that's one word.
great. That's as it should be. But of course you don't like, or yeah, I didn't encounter that previously.
Mhm.
So yeah, yeah, that was definitely like an influence for me. And then yeah, I guess coming to Europe, I was introduced to a lot more electronic music
Mhm.
that like, I mean, I remember in like the late 90s drum and bass being a thing in New York, that like I went to like a few like drum and bass nights with people because that was like linked to like hip hop, and then that was
Yeah.
like a
Did the
way into
phrase like Ilbient ever come up, or were you listening like DJ Spooky at all?
yeah, 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 definitely like DJ Shadow, DJ Spooky, like all of that stuff. Massive. I mean, we're sort of more trip hop, I
But
guess, but like definitely like yeah, 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 yeah. And that's still when I was like a teenager in Hoboken.
wow. Then no, I mean
Yeah, yeah.
there is, it's funny that you mentioned that. I've seen a couple comps, or I've looked a little bit into the Ilbient stuff, and it is like an American response, or kind of that's where all of that down tempo, or what would be trip hop, it all goes.
Right.
Americans get boom bap, and there's a lot, I think a lot of great 90s New York hip hop inadvertently makes an argument for why you couldn't have a Portishead Dummy or a Massive Attack Blue Lines or Mezzanine even. But then you get, it's like I'm a DJ Spooky or Witchman's Heavy Traffic. There's other
Hmm.
comps that are around like Mill Plateau and on Virgin
Right.
series that are just there. And then you also have
Hmm.
stuff like Tortoise as well, which keep tiptoeing around or show up on weird spots. But yeah, it's interesting to hear the drum and bass stuff. That was
Yeah, and then like also like a lot of the like early like, or I guess not even that early, not that early, but like the IDM stuff, like
Oh
musique
yeah.
and stuff, or played very clearly has like a lot of hip hop
yeah.
influence in it, or like even some Autechre and stuff like
Oh
that.
no, the I
Um,
got right over here. I just pulled from the side there,
oh,
the green ball.
right,
And I
right,
have
right.
to, I tell a lot of people though, I'm like, this 90s odd Tecker stuff is, it's hip hop. It's a
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
really,
yeah.
really warped version of it, but and
There's like a few extra beats here and there in like
I
the time signature, but it's yeah.
even like if I forget, because there's another group that does it, but the titles of their stuff and what they reference has become so disconnected from people's understanding of hip hop. They really love electro. They love Egyptian Lover. They love Mantra.
Right, right. Yeah, oh yeah, 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 yeah. The Mantronics connection, and yeah.
And so, because I didn't get to that sound until last year, I'd heard other Odd Techer before an encounter, but I was like, oh, that's what, I didn't realize how much in the UK they love street sounds. That cassette
Mm,
is
mm.
so big for 80s kids, and we're still kind of dancing on that sound, or we're still mining something out of that today.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But no, definitely there's lots of connections there. Yeah.
So let's see, because I wanted from that, I guess I was curious about as well any like record shop experience that you had in America, or then stuff that also happened in Europe for you in the 2000s, or some of your favorite experiences that you'd had with music in social settings outside of the drum and bass stuff.
Um, I mean, in high school, I ended up going to a lot of ska shows,
Oh, sick, dude.
or punk shows,
Yeah.
at a place in Manhattan called the Wetlands, which I guess shut down like probably 25 years ago or something like that. But yeah, they would have like occasionally like hip hop, but it was mostly punk and ska. And we
Yeah.
would go there because it was like right near the PATH station. So you could get there from Hoboken very easily.
Oh, sick. Yeah.
And they were also very like lenient about like letting young people in. I guess they were all ages shows or something like that. But it was, you could get in. So I went to that. I went to a lot of like punk and ska stuff. And I wasn't really into it, but just like live music, you know, like when I say that, I mean, it's not stuff that I would like listen to on tape at home, but like was like awesome to see live.
Yeah.
So definitely that. And then like yeah, I mean, yeah, just in Barcelona and Prague, just like going out and hearing like, I guess mostly electronic music, just at like clubs and small
Yeah.
places, or parties, was like
Was
not
there,
something that was going on in Hoboken, or not that I was aware of previously. So that was interesting. And actually I did in Prague. I wasn't like previously a huge fan, but just coming back again to Kraftwerk, it was during the Tour de France. They were touring Tour de France because that was just out at that time. And I went and saw them in Prague, and it was just mind blowing.
that's
And
sick.
that was
Yeah.
really like yeah, it was a new experience that like
Whoa.
yeah.
So I guess like how did you get into like experimental music and stuff? Like how did you get into like the stuff that
I
we're into that we're
Yeah,
talking
I
about?
mean,
Yeah.
I guess probably from WFMU
Okay,
mostly.
yeah. Hmm.
And I guess like I started making my own music, I guess at like around 14 or 15, like in
Yeah.
like my stepdad he like played guitar music, like he'd previously played in bars and
Mhm.
stuff, but he had
Yeah.
like a little like 1980s studio that like he had like stopped using by the point I found it. And he had like a little drum machine and like
Sick.
a Casio synthesizer that you could
Oh,
actually
that's
like
tight.
program some of the sounds on it. You could like, it was like a synthesizer, not just like a
Yeah.
keyboard. You could change the sounds, and a
Hmm.
4-track and a cassette 4-track. So I
Hmm.
sort of like took these over because no one else was using them. And yeah, started like making music on those. And I think like thinking back, like it was kind of like experimental, not by like trying to be experimental, but just because like I didn't really know how to make
Yeah.
music, or I didn't know what I was doing.
Mhm.
So just on that, but yeah, I guess like yeah, from the earliest stage from WFMU, but then I guess from like the progression from like electronic music that's more familiar to more IDM stuff, and then
Hmm.
to that leads, I think, pretty easily onto like
Yeah.
even more out there stuff, and just like yeah, going
So were
further
you going
out
to
almost.
like, I guess like noise shows and stuff in like Prague? I know like Prague has like a big like, experimental music festival and stuff. I have like some friends out here that like fly out there for the festival and whatnot. I forget what it's called, but I remember like when I went to Prague, I was like talking to them about it and they're like, "Oh yeah, like we love Prague. There's like this sick like festival out there." Anyways, yeah.
The So I was actually in Prague twice.
Okay.
First time I was in Prague, I would say probably not too out there, and that was like
Hmm.
2005 2004 and 2005, and there might have been stuff going on. I'm sure there was stuff going on, but I wasn't going to noise shows then. And after that, I think, and then then in Barcelona, I guess, some not quite noise yet, probably like some IDM stuff, some stuff on like Planet Mu or like that kind of thing when they were playing there. And then I mean, I guess I didn't really go to that many noise shows until I was in Germany, which I guess started in like 2011 or something. I moved there 2010, 11, something like that. Yeah, around then. And there's loads of stuff happening in Cologne and really in like every little town. I feel like in Germany, like experimental music and like noise music is really easy to find, and it's
for sure
really like accessible to like get there and to get into it.
Was even with kind of starting Strategic Tape Reserve, were you able to get funding for that through Germany?
Oh no. No. No, definitely not, because you have to know how to do it. And like I think that's what like people like go to college in Germany to like learn how to like fill in the paperwork to get like that kind of funding.
Crazy.
I think I don't know. I know other people who have, but it's beyond my level of German and my level of being able to like navigate German bureaucracy. Yeah, definitely. No, I didn't advance that high as a citizen of Germany. I wish I did, because there were, I mean, I played at a few shows that were then like funded by the government, and like I was doing like just like whatever, like improv stuff, but then you had to fill out a form where you like say like the name of the songs you play. Like every artist has to like fill in a form because they're getting this government money and everything has to be documented. And they were like, just make up some song titles. Because it doesn't really matter what you put down, but you do have to fill in
the still
song title form. That was funny, but that's as close as I got to getting that sweet
that government
funding. But there's plenty of it going around, and there's like in every like small town there's like some like arts center where they like have like weird stuff going on, which is great.
No, that's something that at least we've heard a few times from musicians that do get to tour Europe. Those opportunities that present themselves that domestically do not exist here, or it just comes back to like super rare occasions where a few people really get together and build up something from the ground up. In some cities, again, every time we talk to a musician from Chicago, we get the sense, wow, they really did it right. It still is affordable, but they do have the institutional and like a few generations of things that have been set up that still really beget them.
And that's like DIY then. That's not with any, it's not like Chicago's funding things, is it?
It's not like Chicago's funding things, but you do have the AACM, I forget. So you have the ensemble, or you have the Chicago Musicians Alliance, the Arts Alliance musicians, and then you have venues like Empty Bottle, or you've got spaces like Constellation, or you've got Elastic Arts, and those are like still really going. And then plus a few people, you just have incredibly affordable rents, which
that also helps, obviously.
The Music City,
Also, like speaking, I got over here this book, Uproot, and it's by Jace Clayton, and it's DJ Rupture.
I saw him in Barcelona years and years ago, and that was another one that exploded my mind.
And the thing is, Boomcat just did a reissue of his first cassette, and I was like, oh my god, because I'd seen his stuff on
Which one is that? That's not the one with the watermelons on it, is it?
I don't think it's 1 + 1 = 3.
Oh, I don't know if I know that one.
And the thing is, I don't think there's a proper download of it. I need to get it posted on the Dropbox so I can a few folks. I'd love to send it to you, because I mean, again, like reading in this book, a huge recommendation on, but he talks.
Okay, I didn't even know about that, honestly. He was another WFMU DJ though later on, but he had a show
Oh
on
wow, that's
WFMU that
crazy.
was awesome. Yeah, Mud
Yeah.
Up. It was Mud Up. Yeah.
Hmm.
And he was living, at least most of when he was writing this, he was in Barcelona for a period, and then he
Right.
moved back to the
Yeah.
United
Yeah.
States. He talks about the kind of like, I really liked reading it because he's a DJ, but he was not like a golden age of EDM DJ that was to
No,
come.
not at
He was
all. Right. Right.
not
Right.
tethered to actual kind of scenes that was like the electro house scene in LA, or again the D&B stuff that was in New York. Like this was just someone that inadvertently, because of these mixtapes and the timing, had opportunities open up and could travel the world and actually start to spot and clock all of these happenings. So highly recommended for the chat.
Awesome. Awesome.
Auto-tune.
That looks great.
He talks about going down to Mexico and looking at their scene, but I love something that he says where he's like, maybe a scene is just three producers, and if one of them decides to change the sound, the scene dies. And even
Right. Right.
even still, I think about at least when with Strategic Tape Reserve, because with Tabs Out, there were very few tapes that we got serviced internationally. Really,
Okay.
so with that and Super Polaris, it really felt like there was something in Cologne, even though it was just, again, a few of you guys having a laugh, playing around with some stuff, but there was, and again, a lot of Strategic Tape Reserve has several ties to Americans and other people in that
Right.
tab.
Right. Right.
But I am curious, at least going back to kind of, because the label started in 2013, yes? Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
But in those kind of first years going up to about 2018, what kind of kicked off wanting to do the label at the time as well with the DJ Volk stuff that you were beginning to release? What was inspiring the project?
Um, yeah, I mean, with Strategic Tape Reserve, it was just to put out some tapes.
Mhm.
I it a lot of yeah, I guess a lot. I didn't join Bandcamp right away.
Well,
I think I didn't even like know about it, maybe.
Oh wow.
But I just had yeah, I guess like the first, I guess I did relatively early, but the first two tapes were just like sort of like given away to friends or like sold, trying to sell them at like little shows.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah, and the DJ Volk stuff was just yeah, it's just like my sample based, I guess, sort of plunderphonic-y
it's
project.
it's funny.
Um,
I had put the word Plunderphonics in there, but I'm like, but that doesn't describe DJ Volk properly. So much more to me. He's my favorite DJ.
yeah, wow. Yeah, no, but I think it comes from like a plunderphonic kind of place. Like I think there was a period, again, going back to WFMU, where they were playing like a lot of like People Like Us, Evolution
Like,
Control Committee,
mhm.
and or Matmos, of
Oh,
course.
For sure. So
Um,
sick.
and like
people.
I just love the idea of like using samples in a way that's like to kind of like tell a story in a way that's like
Yeah,
kind of like personal and like with
Yeah.
like some humor in there and
Yeah, for
because
sure.
um, I remember because the first one I properly got, this would have been my first Strategic Tape Reserve tape. Ah, here, wait. I keep just looking past it. Yeah, Ballerman Party Keller. And again, what I loved, you had the story, you have the image. What I liked about the tape as well is at the time I was reading Mark Fisher, and everything Strategic Tape Reserve was doing really felt like a good spoof of hauntology and a really good spoof of kind of high concept. All of these ideas that were in his writing being done, but in a way that was actively fun and exciting. And there was still somewhere to go. And then with the tape that you've done since, you tied them to these very personal stories. That I remember when you were telling me, hey, I've got a new DJ Volt tape coming later this year. It's about his era of underemployment. I also found that just very, I don't know, inspiring and heartwarming. That is like, this was music that came out of um kind of just ambient echoes, things going on around you that only 15, 20 years later were you in a position to sit back and really think, and capture kind of a different memory or the sonic memory, the echo of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome that yeah came across that way. That's really cool to hear. Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of it. Yeah, for me is just like, yeah, thinking back to times and the sounds of times and what I remember and sort of the impression and the atmosphere, and then trying to somehow like express that in probably like a kind of semi tongue-in-cheek way.
Do you at least, because with the last two, the Italian tape as well, which again, that was, you did work at this restaurant, if that,
Yes,
and
that's
this is
a Hoboken. It's not open anymore, but it was a Hoboken
Uh,
institution. Yeah.
and again, just, oh crap, where was I going with the thought? But um, because the stuff that you pull from this, like this is really, really nitty gritty. You've got the Italian music, but then you have some of those sounds from Hot, what's it, 98.7, the dance station.
Oh no, it was a KTU, WKTU. Yeah.
And really, like when you're starting a DJ Volk project or kind of a piece up, where mentally kind of how do you just build it up? Does it usually start with the jam and then you're kind of just pulling in a memory, or just you're playing with the track or something that's in your head?
Um, I mean, a lot of my stuff, the DJ Volk stuff and other stuff, like starts with like an idea normally. I'm like sort of, and like the idea at the beginning isn't always realized accurately at the end, of course.
Yeah.
But I like to like start with like a concept or an idea. And then from there, I mean, for like the DJ Volk stuff, it just, yeah, I start with like gathering lots of audio to sample,
mhm.
and then playing around with it in different ways to, yeah, then eventually put together, yeah, to,
There's a scientific method. You got your observation, you've got your
yeah, right.
hypothesis, you got the data collection, you've got the experiments and the final resolution. With this
It's
latest
a
one,
system. Yeah.
which is passages. Well, the tape is outside, but I've got the case outside. I've got the tape there. Because you were using it, I thought it was hysterical. The NBC daytime soap opera Passages. Yes,
Passions.
passions. I choose passions. And such a bizarre, like, how many episodes did you cull from in specific for that? Because there's a lot of quotes from it, and then at the end as well, I love the closing track. It feels like you were purposely making a 40-minute episode and then down to like doing the closing song loop. The
I
closing
mean,
track.
I try because they're all on YouTube. If you feel like binging passions, like you could go for a few years. Like all whatever two and a
Yeah.
half thousand are on there. Um, yeah, and I wanted it to be. I was thinking like kind of like, do I want this to be like an audio fanfic of an
Mhm.
episode? But I decided like to leave it like less, to leave it a little bit more abstract than that. But it did end up being like the length of like what an episode is without commercials. And
Yeah.
the episodes do follow like there's like different bits before the theme song, and I like have the theme song on my passion, on the passion tape, in the place where like it probably would be in the episode. And then at the end, yeah, they do the NBC ding ding ding, and that's like in the part at the end to like try to like, yeah, loosely
It's
shape
really,
it into like something like an episode.
and I don't know, I guess the reason why I find that final cut so fun, because I love closing logo stuff. That was like some of my, like, God, when I was probably 12 or 13, I just watched the shit out of compilations of Viacom
That's
logo,
awesome.
NBC, all kind, and I've seen a couple people make cuts with them. And
Okay.
literally before I heard the tape, I was stoned on a walk thinking, damn, someone's got to do that again. We really got to get some people to make. And then I went, oh, sick. DJ Volt did this for me. heard it and was cracking up.
Awesome. Awesome.
Again, with some of the quotes that you choose, and it goes back to even with the Plunderfunk stuff, I think of like Chuck Person's Echo Jams there. Finding these vocal bits that you like, don't, I forget what the woman says on side B about don't be an embarrassment or something.
Okay, yeah, or like don't embarrass yourself or something like that.
You
Yeah.
find incredible little quotes that then you can rope into there's a new meaning that comes of it.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole Plunderphonic thing is just taking these things out of their context and then they take on a different kind of thing. But Passions the soap opera is a freaking rich mine. There's no shortage of like quotes in the soap opera. It's
I'm assuming in a decade you'll do a reissue tape with 10 hours of extra Passions.
There's a lot of passion.
With something that also I guess the label has been doing over the course of several years. I mean, besides the bureaucratic voice that has definitely moved, kind of sidestepped away. There's a little more we'll talk about there. The utilitarian nature of the tape was something that was really embellished early on, and I am kind of seeing a bit of a shift away. I mean, we haven't had a listening by learning in a bit, but this was another.
There will be more. There will be more.
And I think again, to me,
hope.
that was awesome series. Holy crap, that was next level stuff. Along with
Well, thank you.
making a wireless with this Amy Cutler tape.
Yeah, that's a special one. I love that one.
Again, I'm so curious. How were people coming out or reaching out to you? I know that you kind of only put out a few tapes a year. There's a small network of folks that you really do work with, but Amy is definitely a new voice to the label. Just as I always bring up, like with Mr. Beltronic.
Yeah.
How did his nephew reach out?
Just by email, just getting in touch. And the same with Amy. Amy, originally, I think she had that lined up with a different label, and for some reason they couldn't do it or something. So I got lucky on that one.
That's sick.
Because she was saying like I think it could be a fit for Strategic Tape Reserve because I think she's very conscious of those kinds of things. And I was like, wow. I thought, yes, please. That's that would definitely because like it. Yeah, I think Matt, you wrote about it in a way that like it really did fulfill certain like Strategic Tape Reserve directions, and that really felt true for me. And done in like a really awesome way. But yeah, I mean, like a lot of people reach out. There's a ton of music that I wish I could put out that I just don't have the resources to. And I'm sure that's like true for a lot of people, or like every label, surely. Like with the learning by listening and like some stuff, like I get in touch with people who I've worked with before or who I want to work with, and I say, hey, like I'm trying to put together this project. Here's the idea. Would you be interested? And so for some of the more for like the compilations or some of these more conceptual kind of things, sometimes that comes from that as well. But yeah, a lot of the stuff that comes out on Strategic Tape Reserve is just people send it in, and if it's a good fit and I can do it, then I try.
Because it's not like again, I'm thinking of Wetman Chemetz, or I'm getting his last name wrong, but Wetman has made a lot of really great personal tapes. He's done phenomenal drone and shoegaze music for a decade plus. He's just kicking back, doing his own thing, but there's not like a crazy concept to that the same way that like Visiting Places does. And I'm curious.
It's not a crazy concept, but it is. I think all of the stuff of his that I've released is like very concept based.
Totally. And there's to me because there's an incredible personal thing to it. Even just in his tapes about like I followed his stuff, and also like his move, many personal things that have happened in his life that do come through that kind of music. And it's great to hear because it's instrumental guitar music, but a lot of people, you know, you just go to that instrument and you come as you are, and that can actually really tell you something.
Well, the first tape I released from him, though, he's going back to like his 4-track tapes, his doesn't remember tape. That's his, like, he sort of mines his teenage 4-track tapes and then like edits those and adds more to those. And that like really resonated with me as like, you know, yeah, like connecting music to the past. And like the result is obviously like totally like his own thing, and it's totally, you know, unique in what he's doing. But it definitely, for me, it felt like there were lots of connections.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the Amy Cutler tape. And yeah, you obviously like commented on that, but like using, audio as like or like, bringing back this past experience of audio.
Because to me, what was so funny is like the label's called Strategic Tape Reserve, and then the implication of it's like a ferric, it's like this ferric stockpile, and as a result of that, what would be in that stockpile is your personal memories or all of the stuff that's been around you that you can make something new of, and so there's that. I'm also, I guess, just going back to the listening by learning. Do you, because when you're emailing those people, are you just giving them free range with the concept, or do you like, we need a tape about shapes, or I'm thinking
no, I wouldn't do that. No. I outlined like on that, and like the Shopland compilation and the Nordic walking compilation and like a couple of others that totally failed and like were not good ideas. I've like just like emailed people like the basic idea, but like no, I wouldn't like, and I say like, you know, do your thing on it. No, because that's better, obviously.
The Shopland compilation was sick.
Thanks. It was so much fun.
Yeah. That's
And
actually probably the first release I think I heard from Strategic Tape Reserve from the Tabs Out podcast around that time. Yeah.
I mean, there were so many people involved. It was I think 25 different artists or something like that. And I think just because of that, like it like spread pretty far for Strategic Tape Reserve at that point.
Recall, it also got, this is at the time Tiny Mixtapes was still around, and so it had a little bit
it might have,
that got covered there.
I think it might have, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What were you saying, Eddie?
Oh, never. I guess we could switch up gears ever so slightly.
Okay, I just wanted to come back to the utilitarian thing.
Oh yeah.
Because you were asking about that, and I never really talked about that. But that is something that I like, and I think it's like, I don't know. I like the question of like why music is made or why it exists. Is it just entertainment? I don't know if that always like needs to be the answer, especially with like more experimental music. So like sort of by assigning it these functions, these utilities, I don't know. It just, I think that probably like changes how people listen to it, even if it's like obviously a joke, but also it changes like how it's made. And it's just like a way of like, approaching music from a different direction.
Because I've run into, I mean, like inspiration tapes or inspirational stuff, which could include, you know, new age, random kind of Christian stuff, bird noises. But there's a definite, it's fun to experience a tape and that or come to it just being like, okay, let's really see what's going on. And like even my brother had got me for my birthday. I'm looking over there, another pile, this bird noise tape. And then somebody wrote on the back, not subliminal. Someone actually wrote in pen on the, I'm gonna grab this.
In case you were worried about that before listening.
So it's like
is that the idea? Or was this like criticism?
Yeah, criticism. I thought it said but no, I guess it was not this one. Oh no, it literally is printed on it. Not subliminal.
That's a great thing.
That's funny, dude.
Yeah.
So this tape actually had the gumption to do that. It's already daring me to find something subliminal about it.
I mean, it's a tape. There's going to be something subliminal there. Yeah.
So One, probably the biggest thing also that Strategic Tape Reserve has is, I think, a very under acknowledged Twitter. This is a Twitter that really should be arm wrestling with World of Echo for thousands of favorites.
Yeah.
But over time, the Twitter has changed also. And I'm really sad because I could not find somebody had a blog post that I found a day or two ago that has some of your signature like 2016 to 19 era tweets in the bureaucratic
Okay.
that
Okay.
really, I mean, God, that guy's an all-timer. Whoever that character was, whoever he meant.
That was, I think, German Strategic Tape Reserve, maybe.
But the new Spanish Strategic Tape Reserve. What I like about some of your tweets, it's when you go to the grocery store and you're hearing pop music at 6:30 in the morning or something. Or, and I've talked about this with a guy who just really likes when I retweet the label. He's like, this Eamon guy's really funny. When you post about rock stars who hate technology,
Okay, yeah.
have to smash synthesizers or drum machines. The power of
Yeah. 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 Just gotta have fun, and I think, exercise bad ideas.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Is really, like, again, when you're tweeting that stuff out, though, do you really, at least when it comes to the pop stuff, I'm curious about what you feel about pop music, how you felt about that, experiencing it just in social spaces in particular, and if that really does rub off on you.
I
When
mean, I think it's part of I really, I don't know if I'm going to sound totally naive here, but I really love the fact that, like, the way different people like experience music, and just like, I probably don't love pop music, but the fact that, like, other people like I used to, like, be on, like, the commuter train in Germany to work, and there would be all of these, like, business people looking very serious and listening to music, and, like, just like they're getting something from it, and just, I don't know, I'm not really sure what I'm trying to explain here, but I guess just like, yeah, like, while I don't maybe fully love pop music, I do love the fact that it's, like, played in the grocery store, and, like, and it's, I don't know, you can't get into it, and, like, sometimes, like, I don't know, there is something about, and yeah, Shopland World definitely, like, comes from, like, a real place, in that, like, I don't know, I have very, like, distinct memories of hearing specific songs in supermarkets.
Yeah.
Like, in Prague, there was a supermarket that I used to go to regularly, and I remember one day just walking around it, I think, like, with, like, a really, like, hardcore hangover, one of those, like, hungover, like, supermarket things where you just sort of walk around, and you need to, like, get stuff, but, like, you just sort of walk around, and what was it, that Chris Isaak song, Wicked Game,
Oh,
and just, like,
yeah.
walking sort of aimlessly through the supermarket while, like, Chris Isaac's Wicked Game was playing,
Yeah.
and it was
There's
just
something,
like, it was a really great
one,
experience.
because again, like, Chris Isaac's one of those artists that I've never explored. And it's funny enough, I had an opportunity to see him last year and just didn't.
Oh,
I just said,
okay.
nope, not going, even though then immediately I hear the pops. I'm like, oh, it's that guy who did Wicked Game. And it's the funny thing, I don't even know if I'm properly thinking of the Wicked Game song of the, but if it is as wistful and a
Yeah,
thousand
yeah,
yard,
that's probably
yeah,
it.
1,000 yard stare. When you're in a supermarket hungover like that, God, that's magic. That true magic too. That's how you know you're experiencing a song.
Yeah, I also had an experience, I think it was like during, like, I think it was like during, like, the height of COVID or something like that, and I was in a supermarket, and a Rihanna song, like Diamonds, started playing, and I was just, like, looking at everyone else's face, and it just felt, like, really poignant, and, like, in
Yeah.
that moment, very, like,
You
I don't
write
know,
like a diamond.
funny,
I
but
mean,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, music in supermarkets. It's, you know, like seeing live music. It's like a different way to experience music, and it changes it, and it's, you know,
Wow.
and like, yeah, if you go to like whatever, the bodega or like the corner store, and like you hear music in there, that's like different than like choosing to like listen to that music. And that does legitimately, for me anyway, like change my experience of it.
Yeah.
And then,
And in like a positive way. Yeah. Sorry.
and then on the other hand, because these other joke tweets that you've done about the rock stars, or just people who unabashedly rock and hate, electronics, they're really great spoofs of a
I
particular.
just find that funny. I just find the idea of it
I just make
funny.
all of this music that's very clearly like does not care about that and would kill those Facebook guys. But have you ever had like experience or like really met like these hardcore rockists or rock heads that just they don't they give you
I'm sure I have. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sure I have. Yeah.
you just like doing the character. There's no one that you're really spoofing or
I don't know. I don't think it's no, it's not spoofing a specific person,
yeah.
but
Okay.
just no, just a genre of person that definitely does exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Thomas, have we got anything else? Any other major questions or tangents we want to go off of?
Uh, Honestly, I think that we pretty much covered anything. I was just reading through the Twitter right now, and yeah, I was looking at this like broken ass horse painting you got here in the dirt. Did you
Oh
take
man,
that
that
home?
was I didn't. I felt like it belonged in the dirt. Like I thought about it, but I felt like it wasn't like mine to take.
Yeah, I feel that.
Oh yeah,
Like
that
because
reminds.
like I enjoyed stumbling upon it, and maybe other people would as well.
Yeah, that honestly is like a really nice thing to stumble upon, I feel like. The way it's just like
It's
broken and
great.
whatnot, like it looks
Yeah,
really beautiful that way, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And like it's not like there was like other garbage around. It wasn't like
Yeah.
someone dumped a bunch of stuff. It was
It
like
was just that singular
just this,
painting just in the dirt right there.
but it was broken. It was like not like placed there,
Yeah.
like with care.
This
It was
this reminds me, or at least it's sparking in my mind, because the label also takes really great publicity photos of its tapes. And
oh,
again,
thanks.
just just that came. I'm assuming that all comes from the design stuff that you've learned from or picked up from other folks, and then just you going on walks like that and just having those
Yeah, I
opportunities.
mean, since being here, I have a dog. I like
Oh,
part of living out
mhm.
in the country. Like we got a dog, so yeah, I'm spending time outside, and like that's like a good time to like take pictures of a tape, multitask. Yeah, but
So I had another question too. I mean, what do you got against Havarti, dude?
it's just not my cheese, man. Yeah, I don't know. I've tried to get
Get
into it.
his
I
ass.
love cheese. Um,
So what's your go-to cheese then? I'm curious. If you're such a Havarti
oh,
hater, you must like something more.
I'm not like an expert, but in Germany, not it's not even a German cheese, but I got really into Goudas, like
Oh,
or
Goudas are dank. Yeah, I love a
I
Gouda.
and I didn't know that. I sort of felt like Gouda was like some sort of like I don't know. I never had a respect for Goudas, but man, Goudas can be incredible, like crystally, like sort of like Parmesan-esque,
Yeah.
but like somewhere between Parmesan and cheddar. So like I I didn't know that there was so much depth to Goudas, and then discovering that was really nice.
Have you ever tried like that like I don't know, there's like this aged cheese that's like it has like crunchy like crystals of like cheese in it. Have you ever tried that before? It's like super aged. Like I've tried this like really aged like cheddar one time and it's apparently
um
like well known for its like crystals in it. I thought it was kind of weird. Cheese culture is weird, dude.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I'm definitely outside of that. I'm a amateur.
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't say
So
cheese is weird because like or cheese culture is weird because then
Like,
those people would probably think our culture is weird. Like they're like, what are these guys listening to? You know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I've had like Goudas that have that kind of like crystal stuff in
Yeah.
them.
It's
And
interesting, huh?
it's great. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, cheese crystals, that's like gotta be like,
It's
You
weird
do,
the
stuff, dude.
inspiring thing, cheese
Yeah.
crystals.
do you have a big charcuterie board? Kind of like a monthly event, you do something where you taste all the cheeses in town or get some nice ales and lagers.
Yeah, dude, get some like, cured meats and stuff and some tinned fish. I mean, I guess you don't need tinned fish here in Spain. You get the
No,
fresh fish.
but the tin stuff, the tins, they have like all kinds of stuff in tins. You can get like weird sea creatures that I've never
Dude, I've
heard of.
seen like octopus. I've seen like cuttlefish
Yeah.
in
Oh
tins. Like
yeah.
they have
Yeah,
like all
yeah, yeah,
kinds of
Get
yeah.
stuff
on
in
over.
tins.
Yeah,
It's kind of
razor
crazy.
clams.
I
Yeah,
dove
yeah.
down the tinned fish TikTok rabbit hole.
Oh man, I haven't done that.
I tried to get into it, but it's a little odd. I think my favorite tinned fish though was like maybe like tinned oysters and clams. I feel like
Okay.
those were my favorite, but the rest I was like sardines, you're like eating the bones. You know what I mean? It's like,
I usually get
Yeah,
the
I like
boneless
that
ones.
though.
And
yeah.
I like the sard. I'm in here for sardines.
You
I
like the
like
sardines too,
sardines.
Maddie?
I
Just
like sardines.
don't get them in water. Do not get just fresh water ones. That's at least out here because there's no flavor there.
Okay. You
You,
want the olive oil
you
is
want a little
would
bit
be
of
the
olive oil at least, and
Yeah.
hopefully you've got a lemon on the side.
okay.
You got Nabisco
Okay.
saltines. You need Nabisco brand saltine. No.
Okay.
I also
Okay.
really like the tin fish you can get in like tomato sauce. I always
Oh,
felt like those were dang.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, there was like some that they had in like hot sauce and whatnot. I felt like those were good too. Um, there's some really good ones, you know what I mean?
There definitely are. Yeah, no, there's a whole supermarket aisle here. In general. You can get a lot. Yeah,
Sick.
it's good stuff.
Well, I guess that kind of does it for me, Maddie. I mean, is there anywhere else we wanted to jump into?
and the only other thing I guess I wanted to bring up because it's just been on my mind when I think about the strategic tape reserve, about the Twitter account, about all the bios, everything that we've gotten to with the label. Um, it honestly reminds me very much back in 2019 before I was following this, I'd seen a documentary on the Soviet musical. And I don't know why. I just wanted to bring that up right now, but the because
What
when you
is
think
it?
for a second, wait, Soviets had musicals
Oh,
question
okay.
mark
Right.
because it's not something that I don't think Soviet Russia was ever known for producing. But
Yeah.
these things exist, and again, they reinforce or they go back to that utilitarian idea that you mentioned, where literally they were like, "Well, we could have a musical, but it has to be about how great a tractor is." Like that was
Okay. Right.
literally like
Right. Right.
the idea then as a result of kind of the censorship
Mhm.
and everything that you could do. And again, when I look at some of the tapes, I feel that. But then also there were, further west you went where censorship was more lax. East Germany did have like their own attempt at 60s kind of beach party stuff,
Mhm.
which I guess also
Sure.
represents the ergo tapes of the strategic tape reserve.
Right.
Now I'm just saying stuff, but
No, 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 but back to that. I have these great records that are from the Soviet Union that are it's music for sports and it's
okay,
good.
yes.
It's like sounds like electro. It's like made with
Yeah, oh my God.
it's so good.
That sounds
It's like
sick.
really
Yeah.
like electro style stuff and it's from like I guess like 87 or 88 and it's just like music that like I guess at schools you're supposed to put on while like the kids play badminton and like the different and there's like I have two of them and there's I think it's like a series of six or something like that and they're each for like different sports and they have
Yeah.
awesome artwork but it's exactly that it's like utilitarian music with function
Yeah.
but it's awesome
No, it's like
yeah
that kind of stuff. It almost feels like a different realm of because right now another thing I've gotten into is now I trawl at libraries, the world music section, looking
Mhm.
okay
specifically for Smithsonian comps and these are the
Mhm.
ones really fun to get. Electra or not, or no, it's None Such as Explorer series. Classic,
okay
classic like 60s and 70s. Those are just straight up ethnographic
okay
Mhm.
but then some of the cuts on them are the greatest things you've ever heard because they're just recording what's going on and
okay
the voices are
Oh, that's kind of sick, actually. Yeah.
I specifically the ones that they do for the continent of Africa because there's so many different regions, so many different
right
kind of styles of music there.
Uh-huh.
But
That's awesome.
I'm just thinking about Russian electro made for kids sports during their physical education period. Oh my goodness.
I
That's
went
good.
to a communist museum out here in Culver City, and they basically just like it's like yeah, it's just about like communism. So they have like art and yeah, just like different, I guess, like artifacts and like ephemera from like communist countries during like that era, you know? It's really cool. And a lot they
Hmm.
had some like music there that you could like listen to from their archives, I guess, that they like put out. And yeah, it was very much like what you were saying. Like it was like this music was made specifically for this. Like this music was made specifically for like this, you know? It was really interesting.
And
Uh,
like I genuinely like really think that's a good thing. And I like that idea. And I like the idea of like, music having this like having values and properties other than
yeah,
just to like be entertaining, but to like, you know, contribute to society and like
yeah.
I don't know, it just gives like music more power. Which is like good, I guess.
No, I mean, even I'm thinking of like Dave like Gaster del Sol has sort of
Hmm,
united to do the box set. And I
Oh,
had
really?
I did Dave I talked Dave Grubbs for an AMA, just like asked him a little question, but I think about for him, dude's a poet. Dude's a poet. And if you listen to the punk rock stuff he did under Bastro, there's some $10 words in there. That dude
okay.
dropping some very serious language and words and ideas that it's like a 20-year-old punk musician shouldn't be doing. But also then that's why I love to revisit them, because there's so much more power to be like, what the hell is a hammer hurler? Why are you saying
Right.
about all of these fine French food? Like,
Yeah.
well, yes. I love when that kind of just shows itself in random
Hmm.
spots. I feel
Yeah.
like, anyways, or no, any other thoughts that you've got on that before I ask the calendar for this year, which is already probably the most intense year in strategic tape reserve history.
You got that Angel record coming up.
Yeah, yep. That's next week. That's this week. That's coming out. Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a really good one. Yeah, there's several other things in the pipeline. I mean, do you want me to tell you what's coming out?
I mean, if you want, it's up to you. Yeah.
Sure. So uh I mean, another trend, I guess, or what I've been doing a lot of at Strategic Tape Reserve is like there's a lot of spoken word.
Yeah.
And that wasn't really
Yeah.
like planned, but it's just sort of gone that way, I guess, with the Learning by Listening
Yeah.
series, of course. And then the Angel Wings Marmalade has like several
Mhm.
tracks that have spoken word on them.
That's excellent to hear.
Sick.
Um, After that, the next thing is a Budokan Boys tape, which sort of has like either spoken word or like Sprachgesang, kind of like no wave vocals, which is going to be good. Yeah, uh there's a sonopedia, like an encyclopedia of sounds.
Yeah.
Yep. There we go.
That's
Okay, good.
sick.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, and there's a few others coming this year.
I'm glad you bring up that spoken word stuff, because also it reminds me I haven't been feeling too. There's a few tapes I might write about for tabs out soon. It's really rare that people do great vocal tapes. To me, like the one I kind of jokingly call it the vocal games stuff, but that's like Kai Bard. There's another woman named Nina Guyo who had sent us a tape and I thought was brilliant. Um, and then on Felt, that's the label I'm getting. I gotta check again. One of the French labels has
Mhm.
an incredible it's like they call themselves acoustic music concrete.
Mm,
And oh god, I have the title saved here.
that sounds great, though.
August and the clicky keyboards. This is
Okay.
probably
That's
my
sick.
favorite spoken word tape I've heard, and is probably since 101 Notes on Jazz and
Okay. Yes. Yes.
but the joke of this tape is these guys are trying to log in to play Dungeons and Dragons on their like old ass Apple II computer.
Yeah.
And nothing happens on these cuts. It's just them clanking. But then there is a 7-minute cut where they do make it to the text game and they play it.
Okay. That sounds
That's so
wild. That
funny.
sounds
Yeah, that's
awesome.
sick.
I'm excited for the spoken word stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome. Good to hear. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Uh, yeah, I mean, I guess did you have any more releases you wanted to shout out before we begin our sign off?
Um, I think we'll stop there because memory
Awesome.
will fail and
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess we're coming to an end here. I mean, where can people keep up with like all things Strategic Tape Reserve and like yeah, any news? Obviously, there's the Twitter you got to follow.
yeah, I mean, I guess just the Twitter, the Bandcamp, there's an Instagram. There's a website that hasn't been updated in about 4 years, so probably not there. Yeah, just the obvious places.
Sick. Well, before we sign off, Maddie, I mean, do you want to take the question? You want me to take it?
man, I got it. I got this one.
Take it.
So, Eamon, you're going down to the supermarket and you're really excited because they've got a bunch of new seafood, a bunch of new tin fish, and you're just taking them all in.
All
And
right.
you get home, you decide to open your sardines in fresh water, but it turns out, well, when you open it, there weren't any sardines in there. And there wasn't any water in there. There's just a white lab rat. He's a little he's a little kind of scared and thick, and he's gonna jump in your mouth. It's just gonna happen. You're gonna get a refund for the sardines, but he's gonna jump in your mouth, and we gotta know. You taking that head first or butt first, and why?
I guess head first. It's got to be head first because that's the way the rat would jump, and
Yeah.
I gotta let if it's gonna do its thing, I gotta let it do its thing. I don't feel like
If the rat
turning it around would
really
be
also
unnatural. And
the rat is really sorry. I want you to know that personally. The rat,
okay,
just in this
I mean,
scenario,
I guess I'm sorry too
so
in that case to the rat.
he's embarrassed and appalled that he got stuck in the tin can with these sardines and ate them and took away a meal from a good social worker. So
Okay, but is this maybe a meaningful experience for both me and the
If
rat
you want it
that
to be,
will?
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it could be.
And again, he accepts your apology and you guys are now homies.
Yeah. What if you guys like become friends afterward? You
Joined.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. That sounds good. Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Perfect.
Awesome.
All
All
right.
right. Well, Eamon, I guess that's kind of like all we have for today. Thanks to everybody that's listening for tuning into and sticking around to the very end. But thanks for tuning into TBD on KCSB FM 91.9 every Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. and kcsb.org to the rest of the world. This has been Eamon from Strategic Tape Reserve. Thanks so much, Eamon.
Thank you.